Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Healthcare Heroes, where we recognize our dedicated frontline staff and managers. I'm Sandy Potter, joining you once again today from my home studio with Masonicare President and CEO, JP Venoit, and Clinical Case Manager and Community Liaison, Susan Haswell. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you.
Susan, you and I spoke a few days ago in preparation for our chat today, and you were telling me about your role at Masonicare during this pandemic, which I described as something like a cross between a guard dog and a gatekeeper. Could you tell everyone what you've been doing to help keep our residents safe?
So my job was on the admissions side to help prevent COVID from getting in the building via a new admission. Society and the media had already set us up to fail as nursing homes, so we really worked to prove them wrong. It was a team effort. It was with admissions, Gail, Lorette, Jesse, Bernice, Janet, Marty, and Julia. We really worked hard to make sure that we knew that inside, they had a great system going with the employees, so we needed to have a great system going with the admissions. And some days, it was hard. It was really hard because in the beginning we didn't know what exactly we were looking for. Everybody presented with different symptoms, and then, the ones you thought would be positive weren't. The ones you thought would be negative were totally positive. So we really had to stop and look at what infectious disease was looking at. So there were certain lab markers that we learned about, and like what a chest X-ray would look like on a COVID patient. Even though they had swabbed negative, there were still markers for COVID. So we just made sure that we looked for everything, including like where they lived, if they're from another SNF, is it positive? If they're from an assisted living, do they have positive cases? Are they living with a healthcare worker that's positive? So we went through it and then went through it again as a team, and all hours of the night, just to make sure. But it was our goal. We really felt the need to protect those 300 plus people. We're their immune system, and just the thought of them being sick wasn't okay for us. So we really made it our job to just not let it in.
Yes, and you did an amazing job. I mean, JP, where can we even begin with thanking Susan for her tireless efforts during this whole pandemic? I mean, the compassion is unending on her part.
Well, if you look behind me, the flag is for all of you guys, for everything you've done. When we talk about the admissions and going to see the patients in the hospital and having them come into our campus, it was extremely scary, right? The potential of opening that door to allow this terrible virus to come in, I think, created major stress among so many people. And you and the rest of the group did an absolutely amazing job. I remember seeing emails at late in the evening or early in the morning talking about the potential of some of the individuals that may come in or may be testing positive for COVID. And the one thing that I've noticed with all of these videos has been the passion and the desire to do what's right for those that we serve. And Susan, just listening to you just tells me that we're doing the right thing every single day, thanks to you and thanks to all the staff that you work with. You named so many different individuals, and that's just the ones off at the top of your head. But the other ones that day in, day out help really reinvigorates the energy to make sure we're doing what we need to do. And hearing your story is I'm sure you don't think necessarily you were doing anything above and beyond, but you were making a difference. You've made a difference on why we have not had the cases that we had, but also the ability for us to make sure that who we do have, we take care of in the best way. And it's really thanks to you and all of our staff for everything that we do. And I'm proud to say that I get to work alongside you.
Yeah, I think the facility should be very proud of themselves. We went in with, a lot of residents, and we did an amazing job. Yes, we had a few cases, but we contained it. And, infection control there is amazing. They put up with my emails too, and all my questions, but, it kept changing. So with all the changes, we had to go and tell the hospitals again, no, I can't admit that way, or I can admit this way. No, they can't go back to Pondridge, but they can if they're independent. So it was really a lot of communication with the hospitals too, but they really should be very proud of themselves. Everybody there, we have a lot of staff, and we kept it to I think it was a 1% infection rate, which is just incredible.
Yeah, it really is incredible. And Susan, you're so humble. You're not one to toot your own horn. We had to actually twist your arm to have you allow us to feature you today. But honestly, we wanted to thank you because you are truly a godsend to so many families who found themselves separated from their loved ones during all of this. Can you tell us some of those stories you were mentioning about the emotional impact of this experience?
It was our, one of them was, it was our first suspected case. It was 8:00. I know it was a Friday night, and I had to call this woman that I've never met and tell her she can't leave her little house. She's got to stay in there. And she was distraught because she thought, if he has it, I'm going to get it. And then who's going to take care of our dog, Katie? So she went over her whole system, where Katie goes to board. And I said I would bring the dog there if I had to, and that she shouldn't worry about the dog. Somebody would take care of the dog. And that calmed her down. When he got a little bit worse, he ended up being negative, but he got worse. He did take a turn, and she called me crying. I need to see my husband. So I called the hospital, and I fought for her, and I did get her in there. And it continued because she wasn't so sure about short-term rehab. And so I was like, well, we could get a private caregiver. But then she called and said, he can go for 10 days. That's it. And I said, all right, I'll take it. 10 days. So I actually just recently talked to them. He's doing amazing. He graduated from MHHH and is back up and walking. And hopefully one day when this is all over, they asked if I'd come meet him. So, it was things like that. There was another one that the husband was dying, and they're asking her to make a decision if he should stay there. But she hasn't seen him in 4 weeks. So I called the hospital, and I talked to the doctor. And I said, well, if you want her to make that decision, she's got to see him. So she got us permission, and we were able to go in. And so it was things like that. They were very scared. These people take care of their loved ones, and they have the loss of control now. They have no control over anything that's going on, or they can't see it. So they just have to depend on that everything's being done right. It was stressful on all of us, and we cried and probably argued a few times, but we did get through, and ultimately I think we worked very well as a team to prevent it from getting in. It's something you can't see, so it's really hard to, put a gate up and keep it out.
Wow, you did angel's work, really. Thank you so much. And
you're very welcome.
And thank you for the honor of telling your story today and sharing time with us. And you are, as JP says, the epitome of Masonicare Strong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching at home. I'm Sandy Potter, and we hope you'll join us next week for another edition of Healthcare Heroes. Until then, be well.